Today I'm going to talk about the trust bridge. And I think it's important to understand what I mean by bridge. You'll hear me reference this in multiple ways, but let's get cranking here. Our goal here is to boost your referrals. And to do that, you need to build a bridge of trust. To put some words to that illustration, think about yourself on this side of a gap or a gulf or a mountaintop, and on the other side is a collection of people, an audience, a target market. Well, in order for you to get across that gulf, you have to create a bridge of some sort. And the bridge that is the most effective way for you to get to your target market and get people wanting to embrace what it is that you're bringing to them is to build a bridge of trust. And today we're going to talk about what is that bridge of trust. And I want you to leave with value. So specifically, I want you to understand why referrals require a bridge of trust. And I know there's probably no one on this call who hasn't heard the saying or the statement that people will do business with those who they know, like, and trust. Understandable, know, like, and trust. But now, to achieve trust, you've got to create it. You've got to build it. And we're going to talk about what makes you successful as a trust builder. And when you do begin to build that trust, to become visibly a builder of trust, a center of attention, you become what I call an attraction magnet. People want to be with you. They're drawn towards you, just as a magnet draws iron towards it. When you build your trust bridge, you will find people wanting to be around you. And the ultimate implementation of the steps to build that are that you're able to identify and gather around you what we call your referral team, a dream team. And early on, I'll just say, well, who might be on a dream team? I had this question come to me yesterday. The people you want on your referral dream team are the people you know who have a trusted relationship with you. Here's the important point: who are already doing business with the people you would like to meet and bring your program or service to. Think about that. Who do you know that's already serving your ideal target clients? Now, how do you turn them into a dream team? We'll talk a little bit about that too as we go through the time. Okay, let's get cranking. As Randy described earlier, the number one problem everywhere, something like 80 to 85% of the people I poll say, I need more clients. People are no longer responding. My messaging and marketing aren't getting through. Social media isn't delivering what I thought it would. I'm paying too much to find leads. The leads I get aren't productive. Whatever it is in your particular case, it's the number one problem. And my goal through Engage Pro and working with the Alignable community is to help people solve that problem. So as I describe it, it's time to reset your thinking. I wrote an article recently called "It's Time for the Great Relationship Reset." All of the technology and social tools and automations in our lives represent a pendulum to me that has gone too far to one direction. And in this world where we know relationships matter, we've allowed technology and automation to separate us from people-to-people relationships. Well, it's time to bring that pendulum back to the center, back to where the people-to-people activities between you and those around you get more attention. And that's where we're going to take you today in building your bridge of trust. Now, I want you to think for a minute about a doorway with 3 locks on it. It takes 3 keys to open that door. And those 3 keys are the keys to growing trusted relationships. If you've never thought about, well, what does it take? It's not simple. Let's get into it. Specifically, the first key is you have to illustrate to the people you're trying to build relationships with who you are from a character point of view. The character point of view is sort of like, how do you show up? Do you show up respectfully? Do you show up as someone who listens? Are you reliable? Do you provide good service? Do you have values that are in alignment with the best practices and the people in your industry? Are your goals visible and understandable and true to the interests of all? This character composition, I would dare say that practically everyone I meet has that a good set of attributes around who they are. I mean, that's just the nature of us working in a mutually beneficial culture. Now, that's the first key. The second key is what do you know? Think about it. Competence, your expertise. A lot of things add to that, like your education for sure, training, experience, all your skills, the company you work for, its reputation. But now think about this. Character and competence are twins. They're twins that work together. If you have character, I want to be around you. But if you're not skilled or haven't trained and developed your abilities as a brain surgeon, I'm not going to let you operate in my brain. Secondly, you may be a great brain surgeon, but if you don't have the character to be trustworthy, again, I'm not going to let you do surgery on me. It's just not going to be the case. Let me tell you a story. I had LASIK surgery, about 25 years ago. Went to the one provider, the one doctor who was doing all the personalities in the marketplace where I was located at the time. He did a great job. Character, great. Competence, great. Surgery outcome, great. Needed a touch-up a couple years later. Went back to set an appointment and found out that the doctor was in jail. Yes, in jail. Tax evasion. He was making so much money, he had to hide it. Now, when he got out of jail, they called me and said, would you like to come in and get the touch-up done on your eyes? I said, no. Why? The character had gone down the drain. I found another surgeon with character and competence, and on we went. They work together hand in hand. But there's a third factor. The third factor is how you show up. It's called the engagement factor. You may be the most brilliant and high-valued person in the room, but if you don't focus on showing up consistently, building engagement, staying in touch, making it about the other people, being personal, being a giver. You've heard the term that go-givers sell more. Well, I'll say it's go-givers with character and competence sell more. But they certainly have to be a giver along with those other two attributes. So the goal here is to put these three keys together, because when you bring them together in wherever you operate, in your marketplace, at your different networking meetings, in the Rotary or in the BNI group or whatever communities you hang out with, when those three are together, you become what I call that attraction magnet. Nevertheless, everything starts with you. You are unlimited in terms of your ability to build that bridge of trust, but you've got to make a commitment to do it. And it's got to be because you're focusing on being in touch with people and delivering the very best you can. We'll talk about what that looks like, but you've got to commit to this condition we call engagement. Engagement is being in touch in a consistent, ongoing way. As I teach across the land, I teach about this thing called the relationship cycle. Trust builds by focusing on being a giver, as I said, but it's got a cycle. It's a process. In fact, it's often referred to as an engine. I call it a referral engine or referral machine when it's most effectively applied. But it specifically says people will do business with those who they know, like, and trust. How do you create the trust? Consistent activity of a giver into the one-to-one relationships that are in the setting in which you operate. As you give and give and give, that cycle begins to operate. The wheel spins, if you will. And at a point in time, pretty quickly too, it doesn't take a long time at all. But at that point in time, when the trust is building because you're giving, the person to whom you are making those giving, engaging activities begins to say something like, I'm getting something from Randy here. She's always giving to me. What can I do for her? It's the reciprocation drive that gets brought into gear. And that's where the ask, or as I like to say, modifying that, that's where the teaching opportunity comes in. So why do you focus on being a giver? The answer is the law of reciprocity is activated when someone is a giver. If someone comes to my door with a box of brownies, and it happens from time to time with some of my friends, I want to be in that relationship and reciprocate, give something back. It's a special personal relationship that you're creating. And in this case, as you give and give and give, you're being viewed by the people you're giving to as distinctive. You stand out. You're looked upon as being the big-hearted person, the committed person. You're showing character and competence. Now, the outcome of that is one of my favorite words, not because it's close to my first name, but because what it speaks to is the visibility that you're creating called TOMA. TOMA is an acronym meaning top of mind awareness. What you're trying to create in TOMA is the understanding that you are someone that I want to associate with. And whenever I see someone who may need or may be a good person to introduce to you or need what you do, inside of my brain clicks a button that says, this would be someone good to introduce to Tom or introduce to Randy or someone. You want to become memorable where that Toma button just switches on when you find yourself inside of that relationship cycle. Now, there are some trust building steps. If you follow these trust building steps, I can guarantee you that in roughly 4 weeks, people are going to be looking at you through a whole different lens. These are key to getting your first few referrals, but also key to identifying and finding the people who would become part of your referral team, as I spoke of. First of all, to get started, I want you to only think about a small group of people, 20 to 30 people. That group of 20 to 30, we're going to call your A list just to give it a label. But you're going to reach out to those 20 or 30 people once every 2 weeks. You're going to keep in touch with them in such a way as you're building the memory magic or the memory muscle in their minds as to who you are. Keeping in touch means you're going to be making it personal. I kind of drive some people crazy when I say, stop sending your newsletters, stop sending your brochures, stop sending all of the publicity about who you are, and start talking to these people about who they are, about what their interests are, about what they do for hobbies, what their family is all about, where they went to school, what their favorite sport team is, whether they're going to watch the race this weekend in Baltimore at the Preakness, where their team is going in the playoffs, how their last vacation or next vacation went. Those are the kinds of things that make it personal. Those are the kinds of things that separate you from everyone else who's out there squawking, buy my stuff. Think about it. Practically every place you go, it's buy my stuff. No, stand out from the crowd by making it about the other person. Keep track so you stay on track. Once every 2 weeks, bring that value to them. It could be value delivered verbally. It could be value sent over by a text message or in an email or a phone call or a personal note. There's all kinds of ways to stay in touch, but you're going to be the connector. And one of the things I'm always looking for, it's sort of baked into me because this is a lifestyle that I've come to learn and adapt. I'm always looking for who do I know that I could introduce to you that would make you come across as valuable or meet your needs or help you grow, if I can become the introducer and I practice that consistently, what I'm doing is teaching you how to become the introducer. And that giving back or reciprocity will be mirrored by based on how you build that set of relationships. It's pretty simple, but once again, there's another factor that comes into play for you when you act this way. And that's a principle of influence. That principle is called scarcity. When you do something that few other people are doing, guess who stands out in the pack? And you become the leader of that pack. Okay, let's talk about that attraction magnet. I want to give you a little arithmetic test here. Specifically, when you surround yourself with that small group of people, I spoke of the A list a few minutes ago. Let's call that your inner circle. You carefully select who is going to be in that small group, because those are the people you're going to build that relationship with and get in touch with and keep in touch with personally once every 2 weeks. When you grow those connections and relationships, all of a sudden you're going to find that you become the attraction magnet and your influence is growing and more people will become attracted to you. As more are attracted to you, your splash zone or influence zone grows. Your inner circle multiplies, magnifies. And think of it this way, 20 people. If you did this with 20 people, and each of them knew 20 people who might be someone you would like to meet, the arithmetic says that 20 people control your access to 400 people. What would that mean to you if you could get 20 people introducing you to one person a month who you could use as a starting point to a new sale or a new relationship? One person a month. It would be more business than you could ever handle. I've seen it work for thousands, tens of thousands. The question is, will you bring the pendulum back from counting on all of those tech tools back to doing the few simple things that create relationships? Now let's shift into the final step of our time, and that is growing your trusted referral team. In all of my years, there's nothing more powerful than having a surrounding team of people who are all working together to help each other. There's a multiplier effect, just as I described with the 20 times 20 illustration a moment ago. But we're not just talking about a casual relationship with a small group of people. We're talking about an intentional relationship where you are the leader of the team. As you look at this illustration, the team leader is responsible for bringing the people together and conveying to them the why they're together and the how or best practices of their being together. Think of it as a multiplier effect of the character and competence story, because by the illustration of the leader's character and their competence, those people who could be amongst the 20 who know the people you already want to meet will begin to emulate the behavior of the leader. And as I've learned to say and see over the years, speed of the leader, speed of the pack. Whoever is the leader is going to control the pace of the productivity or results of the pack. So when you look to growing your team, the goal is to find those other professionals with great reputations who are already serving your ideal target client. I mentioned that once before. Now you have to take the next step and build a relationship with each person individually. And as I said, be the introducer so that when you connect person A with person B, you as the connector take on a magic role in that setting. That magic role now gives you the ability to influence the interactions in a positive way between those two. add one more, and suddenly you've got a geometric increase in the opportunity for everyone. So you've got to be proactive. You've got to be engaging and engaged. And there's accountability. If someone joins the team or you bring them in and they don't step up to being a team player, it's no different than getting on the field as a football player. And if you have a habit of missing your blocks or not catching the ball that you should catch when it's thrown to you, pretty soon you're not on the field. It's the same here. I want to say one last thing. This is not a networking group. Don't for a minute discount it to where it's simply considered a networking group. It's not. This is a group where there's a covenant made amongst the players, amongst the people, to support each other in a mutually beneficial win-win set of relationships. It's the most powerful marketing system I've ever seen, and I've been around long enough to see multiples of this. Moving on, a trusted team, as we call it, brings everyone the opportunities because everyone's A-list or best opportunities for introducing to the other are combined into that group of collective referral opportunities for each other. It's powerful. Now, I want to give you a bonus. I thought about in preparing for this meeting, what could I leave with those who come that would be something they could take away? When you see this in a replay or take a screenshot or whatever you're doing, here's how to do the team building activity. I'm going to do this with you, and I want you to think about this for a minute. Think about how you would feel if I came up to you and said to you, Randy, I'll continue to use you. Randy, I'm creating a power team of trusted professionals who I'll be promoting to all my clients. I'm on the phone with you doing this. And I'd like to sit down with you to discuss the possibility of adding you to my team. When is a good time for us to get together? Now, just imagine if someone came up to you and they asked you that question, how would that make you feel? Okay, we know the answer. How would you respond if someone said they want to start introducing you to people? How would that make you feel? How willing would you be to explore the possibilities that this could be a breakthrough moment to new opportunities? So when you see this or hear this or use this, recognize that if your character and competence are in place and you're actively engaging with people, these words become magic. They work. You'll find yourself able to grow a community of mutually giving people who all share those same values and a willingness now to join together. Okay, let's go through this in a recap very quickly. A recap that says it's really noisy out there. I don't know if you're as convinced as I am of the noise, but I seem to wear out my delete button on my keyboard faster than any other button on any keyboard that I ever have. Given how noisy it is, it's time to go relational. It's time to bring the pendulum back to the center. Time for that great relationship reset, as I characterize it. And in doing that, if you commit to this type of strategy, what you're going to be doing is showing you have character and competence in order to be someone that people want to hang out with. That character and competence handshake is a connection that can't be broken. Then grow your engagement. Engagement is a definitive element or component or commitment. Once every 2 weeks, you're going to reach out to the people that you choose to have on that A list. Okay, that group of 20. Now you may start with 15 or 10, but don't go larger. Caution, don't go larger, because when you go larger, you'll get distracted and stop doing the once every 2 weeks communication and stop doing the work, and you'll be right back where you are at the start. Grow engagement, watch the trust build, and then teach people how they can best reciprocate. There's a whole process of teaching people the best way to refer you or introduce you or reciprocate. And we have some materials we share on how best to get people to introduce you to others. We'll share that in a future event, I'm sure. Now, show appreciation. On the appreciation side, I don't think anyone here doesn't value what appreciation can mean when they show it or receive it. But in this case, we proclaim show appreciation to everyone who is giving anything back to you, even if it doesn't produce a result. Showing appreciation for someone who gives you an introduction that goes nowhere enables you to both create the bridge of gratitude between you and them, number one, but it's also the opportunity to guide them to a better outcome the next time. That was a good person. However, we really didn't see the need. However, if you happen to know someone who has this nature or this need or looks like this, so whenever someone who doesn't come back with a value for you, but you show appreciation, you're basically repriming the pump for the next one. Then build your team. Once again, it's the most powerful way to circle a group of people together for your mutual beneficial results, and then celebrate. There's one thing about what we do in life, and that is our jam-filled lives are so busy that we often miss the opportunity of celebrating our success. If you're a team leader, there's nothing like a group of successful team members high-fiving each other as someone on that team achieved a great success, and that encourages everyone else to continue to participate in the team and bring success to all. Who does this work for? Now, I can show you a list of companies and professions, and truthfully, there are very few that I've ever found that it didn't work for. I can't think of any industry or any profession where it didn't work. So the question you can answer in a different way, and I want you to juxtapose the concept of the trust bridge where we started out this conversation. How many of these different professional types that you see before you do you think have trust at the core of why people work with them, why they work together, why they introduce, why they refer, why you may depend on them or trust on one of them to provide something to you? The trust bridge is central to all of these different professionals' business models. Now, how many do you know who are working on the trust bridge? There is your opportunity. Again, I spoke of scarcity a few minutes ago. The reality is because so few understand the trust bridge, work the mechanisms to create personal trust or their own trust bridge, inside of that scarcity is the opportunity for you to become the bridge builder and set yourself apart on the pathway to achieving the success that you're looking to reach. It works everywhere.